So tonight I was planning on doing a virtual bat walk, but if you've just been out collecting your sticks, you'll notice that it's incredibly windy outside. And if it's as windy as it is just now, the bats are really going to struggle to fly in that. And if they've actually caught lots of insects on a previous night, they're maybe just not going to go out. Also, if I'm going to be going outside with this little microphone and it's really windy and I'm coming out with my bat detector, you're probably not going to hear anything. So I think I'm going to postpone it until probably September time. And the reason for that is that the nights will start to get darker earlier in September. I can't do it much later because the bats in Scotland do hibernate in the winter. So after October time, we're really not going to see any bats. They'll all be sleeping. So if I was out on a bat walk, I would be using my bat detector. Now, if we need to go and look for bats, first of all, we can use our eyes, so you can look up to the sky just before the sun sets and you'll see the bats flying around. If you look up beside some trees or someplace close by like that, a wild spot, but they do come around in our cities. But we also have to use our bat detector. And the reason for that is it will get dark eventually and you'll not be able to see any, but also bats probably have about the same eyesight as us, so not brilliant. And if we were out in the dark, and in fact I would challenge you to this, if you go out in the dark one night, I guarantee you'll not be able to go and find 3,000 midges just by looking with your eyes. I cannot see midges in the dark, and neither can bats, so they have to use something called echolocation. And basically echolocation is when a bat will release, we'll call it a shout, so shout out, and then all the shouts touch the environment around them and all these echoes come back, and the echoes will build up a picture of what the world looks like. So they'll see the trees, they'll maybe see a human walking, and they'll be able to see those tiny little midges and they'll be able to catch them. So when they release those shouts, they're at something that we call a frequency, so a level of noise. And we can't hear it, basically. It's too high for our ears to hear, but our bat detector can. So it takes that frequency and it turns it into something we can hear. And then we can also tell what type of bat we've got based on the frequency it's shouting at, so how high or how low it's shouting at. So I'm going to show you an example of that in just a minute, because I did go out with my bat detector a couple of nights ago. But I also think we should take some time to try and learn what it feels like to be a bat echolocating. So I think you should try and play the bat and moth game. So for the bat and moth game, all you're going to need is a blindfold and at least 2 people. You can have more than 2 people, but you need one person to be the bat. So if you tie the blindfold around yourself, and the other person has to be the moth, or you can have more than one moth. And the aim of the game is the bat has to shout out bat, and then we need the moth to reply moth immediately, and then you've got to try and catch the moth. So it would be really quick pace. So for example, bat, moth, bat, moth, bat, moth, and you would try and catch them. You can see more of the instructions on my blog.
Bat, moth, bat, moth.